Okay. Hey everyone, it's Teresa and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be me talking about 7 characters that I identify with. I was inspired by Monica from Mooney Reads, so I will leave her original video link down below as well as her channel. I like this idea. I feel like I've done something like this similar in my channel. I just don't remember when exactly. So if I look back in the archives and find that video, I will leave that link down below so you guys can see baby Therese. Probably with really long hair and bangs. Not that I haven't rocked bangs on this channel before. But talking about which characters I identify with. So if these guys repeat, again, I don't know if I've actually done this video. I should. But I don't. So here we go. So the first character I'm going to talk about really should just come as no surprise because I feel like we're basically the same person, and if you read these series and know me personally, then you know exactly what I mean. But that is Alec Lightwood from the Mortal Instruments series. And if you guys don't know, the Mortal Instruments is about Clary Frey, who finds out that she's not human but a shadow hunter after certain events that happen, and now she is on a quest to find her mother, and Alec is one of the grumpy cat characters that she meets. Like I said, we're basically the same person, and he's one of the first gay characters that I've read in a series, and I really appreciate that a lot. And you think I'd be more inclined with like probably Magnus or something because we're both bisexual Asians, but instead I identify more with the awkward eldest sibling who feels like he has to take on the responsibility of his family onto himself and is awkward and doesn't really know how to dress, but it slowly gets better over time because of the person he's with. Granted, the person that I'm with that helped me learn how to dress better is my sister, and then watching The Vampire Diaries. But the same person, we have the same kind of grumpy cat aesthetic. The next character that I identify with is Ivy Aberdeen from Ivy Aberdeen's Letters to the World by Ashley Herring Blake. This is a middle grade novel following young Ivy Aberdeen, who doesn't really know her sexuality, but she just kind of expresses it through pictures of her holding hands with girls. And then after a tornado, I believe? Yeah, after a tornado rips through her town and tears apart her house, she finds that her drawings went with said tornado, and somehow the person who found them is now leaving them in her locker. Now, I relate to Ivy Aberdeen on a lot of reasons. I also started to kind of question my sexuality around middle school. Like, I knew I didn't just like boys, but I also knew that I didn't just like girls. And while Ivy Aberdeen seems to lean a bit more toward like being a lesbian than being bisexual, I remember hearing the word bisexual and like something clicking for me, and again not really understanding it. And thankfully for Ivy, she has a pretty like nice support system back when she was trying to figure this out, and I wish I had that. So I'm like, this is a very important book to me, and very important to literally everyone, like to all the baby gays who are probably still trying to figure it out, or maybe they're actually her age and are starting to question these things. So I'm just like, thank you, Miss Ivy Aberdeen. Like, the next character that I identify with is Thea Harmon from the Night World series, specifically Spellbinder. This is not Thea on the cover, since this is the bind-up of the first 3 books. This is Poppy from the first book. This Spellbinder specifically is about these 2 witch cousins who are basically sisters, who have been kind of shuffled from school to school because Blaze, Thea's cousin, kind of doesn't really know when to stop using her magic, and this is kind of their last-ditch effort. And yeah, I relate to Thea on a lot of levels in terms of like just kind of her responsibility to her family, to her sister or slash cousin in this situation, and then more so to herself and trying to find that balance and not being sure where that balance is. She's a pretty complex character considering the fact this is like a early 90s, I want to say like early to late 90s book, like paranormal romance. So sometimes these characters don't get super, yeah, it's late 90s, like 96. Sometimes these characters don't get super complex, if you know what I'm trying to put down. But I think that L.J. Smith did a really good job with like the Night World series and giving us really complex female characters, and I really enjoyed Thea. Like, the first like 3 books out of the series is probably one of my favorites. The next character, or character number 4, is Aaron Soto from More Happy Than Not by Adam Silvera. More Happy Than Not follows Aaron, who has kind of been trying to find happiness after his dad committed suicide. There are trigger warnings for suicide and homophobia and depression in this book, so just a heads up. And he starts to find contentment in with being next to his girlfriend, or like being around his girlfriend. But then he meets this new guy and things kind of shake things up for him. On top of that, there's kind of this underlying current of the Lateo Institute, which is a very advanced institute that's meant to help you remove a specific kind of memory from your life, like whether it's traumatic or overly sad, and that kind of has like an undercurrent throughout this entire book. I identify with Aaron for a lot of reasons, one of them being his identity. In the situation that he is in, he does question his identity, and we learn that he does struggle a little bit of like what is right and what is considered right from his family and his friends and everything, and what isn't, and what is right for him. As well as I have been in a situation not super similar to Aaron, I think. No, not similar to Aaron at all, but I have been in a situation where something like the Lateo Institute, where they could take away a specific memory, would be very interesting for me to do, would have been something that I would have considered, or something that I'd have done, because I was such in a really dark place in my life. So I really love this book. I really recommend it. Like I said, it is very heavy, so I would suggest you guys, you know, be very careful with when you pick this up. But I will leave my review for any of these books linked down below, and then those reviews should have trigger warnings if they are available, if I don't mention them in this video. The next character that I identify with is also, actually, I feel like this one might surprise some people, but that is Patroclus from the Song of Achilles. Like, you guys know, this is my all-time favorite book, like one of my all-time favorite books, so it should really come as no surprise that this is on this list. But also, I feel like it should be a surprise because I don't think y'all expected this specific character to be someone I identify with. It took a lot of soul searching, and I identify with him primarily because he's a very loyal person. He literally follows Achilles to the ends of the earth and then some. So I think I've definitely been in a situation where I'm like super overly loyal to someone who probably needs a good smack in the face, to the point of like putting my own well-being at risk. And if you're familiar with the Achilles myth and you know who Patroclus is, then you know what happens to him. So you are aware of the situation. But yeah, I think that's why I probably like this book a lot, just because it's like I identify with him on that specific level. Don't know if I identify with him on a further level, like would I have done what he did in order to save Achilles? No. But would I have gone through something similar to help a friend in need, to the point of sacrificing my own well-being? Yeah, and I've been there, so. But yeah, love him, love this book. I need to reread, but I'm not ready to shed tears yet, so we're holding off. The next book should come as kind of no surprise to you guys. If you guys have been on this channel, at least for the past year, this is one of my favorite books of all time. I read the audiobook. I recently acquired the physical copy because of the Messy Musketeers, and that is The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. This is Elizabeth Acevedo's debut novel that came out, I want to say, like 2-3 years ago? 2 years ago. And this is a book written in verse, and it follows Xiomara as she kind of grows into herself and her trying to understand the world around her and how she fits into it. And like this book also carries trigger warnings. Like I said, please feel free to look at my reviews down below, because those will have all the trigger warnings. I would try to list them, but it's been a minute since I've read the books, and I don't want to like exclude one or say something that's there that isn't there, you know? So yeah, but I identify with Xiomara a lot, even though we're not the same ethnicity, in terms of like having an overly religious mother who kind of polices your body at times and what you wear, to kind of like growing into your body. But more granted, we are not, Xiomara is and I do not have the same body type in the slightest, but in terms of like kind of how men disgustingly view our bodies as we grow up and grow into that, her trying to figure out this world with like romance and boys that she doesn't really quite understand, at the same time while her twin goes through it too, and kind of figuring out what she wants to do in her life and her passions and what to do, and actually how she's coping with it when it doesn't quite line up with like what her family is expecting her to do. It's a lot. But I really enjoyed this book, and I really identify with Yomada in like that kind of situation, and like highly recommend this book. Highly recommend. Again, it's one of my favorite of all time books, so like get on it. And if you guys don't read in verse, which I understand, highly recommend the audiobook as well. Elizabeth Acevedo is the one who narrates it, so you know it's gonna be. The last book should also come as kind of no surprise, considering how much I love the series and how much I love the movies, particularly the second one out of the series. And I'm going to have to go with Susan Pevensey from the Chronicles of Narnia series by C.S. Lewis. If you guys don't know what this is about, it's about these kids, actually, well, it's about this other world called Narnia, and these kids from our world to kind of stumble upon it through weird means. But specifically, these kids, the Pevensies, stumble into Narnia via a wardrobe and find out that they're kind of meant to stop this eternal winter from happening. I identify with Susan in terms of like being the eldest girl and like feeling like you have this huge responsibility. Wow, I realize that a lot of the characters that I identify with have a lot of responsibility issues. Like a lot of responsibility toward her younger siblings, as well as like when she grows older, she does kind of lose her way. And like in the book, it says that she likes lipstick and boys as like a way for her like deviating from like finding heaven and choosing religion, which I'm just like shitty thing to do. But I take it as like specifically for this time period, and given like how we adapt to things, I'd like to think that Susan lost her way in terms of like caring for her family and getting lost in the material aspects of life instead of caring about her family. So I'm gonna go with that because I've definitely been in that situation. While Susan never really found her way back given the events of the series. I'm not gonna spoil it if you haven't read it because surprisingly not a lot of people have read the books. But given the events of the series, I would like to think I kind of found my way back. And like she also gets to kiss Prince Caspian, so like I would like to think that maybe if I went to Narnia I would have seduced Prince Caspian somehow by being spunky. I don't know. But that is it for the 7 characters that I identify with. Kind of a weird mix of characters, and not really characters that I thought that I was gonna mention. Like I have the Sweep series where I definitely identify with some characters, but I decided not to put it in there, so yeah. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little different from what I typically do, but I like it. I think that getting to know someone through the characters I identify with, or the books that they love, is like a really great way. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. But if you guys did, hit like, subscribe, comment, suggest any new video ideas, comment about your top 7 characters that you identify with, or like just like your top character that you identify with, characters you don't identify with, however you want to spin the question, just let me know down below. Sorry for no video on Sunday. Most of the footage that I got from the Journal With Me video, I literally could not use because it was so grainy, and no matter what I did, it just got worse. So I will be having another Journal With Me video this Sunday for you guys, and I'll find a way to give you guys an extra video somehow. I don't know how, but I will. But until next time, all my social media links will be down below, and I hope you guys are having a great week, and I'll talk to you guys everywhere else and on the next video, depending on how you find me. But until then, bye.